Looking at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Kia Niro. The Niro does have two different versions of the cluster available and two different versions of the infotainment system. If you want to walk through on the infotainment or different versions of the screens, you'll find that down in the description of this video. But let's dive in. I'll show you everything you need to know. First thing is that the steering wheel inside of the ride might be heated depending on whether you're in Canada, the States, and which trim level you're in. So down by your right knee, there's a button there you're going to push for a single level for the heat, and it's heated all the way around. The steering wheel across the Niro lineup is also going to be manual telescoping. So by your left knee, there's a release. You're going to go in, out, up and down to find that perfect position for you. Once you find it, click it in order to lock it back into place. Down by your left knee, you've got a series of other options here too. So you can increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. You can open and close the trunk. Since this is the hybrid, you're using that in order to open up the fuel door. You could turn charging off, and then you can also toggle your traction control system on or off. The only time you want to use this is if you're getting wheel slippage, you can't pick up traction, toggle that off from there. And there are so many different buttons and stalks. So let's start off with the left-hand side. So you've got your different light modes that are available. You're going to be in the auto mode the majority of the time. And when you're in the auto mode, inside of the infotainment system, you can toggle on an auto high beam mode. And what that means is that if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, it's going to turn them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. If you wanted to permanently lock your high beams out though, you're going to go into your upper headlamp mode. Push away to turn them on, pull towards you in order to turn them off. It's just that in the auto mode, you can flash them no problem. It's just that you can't permanently lock them out here. Stick along the right-hand side is going to be for your wipers. If you go up a level, that's going to be a single wipe. If you drop down a level, that puts you into the intermittent mode. So you could then use the rocker in the middle of the switch there in order to be able to say how fast or slow it's hitting into one of the crazy modes. You've also got a button on the tip of the right stick to turn on your rear wiper. You're going to pull towards you in order to get the front wiper fluid going. You're going to push away in order to get the rear wiper fluid going. The car also has paddle shifters. But if you want to walk through on how paddles actually work, check down in the description of this video. And you've also got this little drive mode selector. So tapping that is going to let you change between either an eco or a sport mode. Eco mode is going to give you the best possible economy. Sport is the best possible performance. And you've got the flexibility of adjusting that screen out a tiny little bit. Inside of the infotainment system, if you go into your setup, you can get to this for a few different ways, but if you go setup, vehicle, cluster, you could adjust brightness a few different ways there, but you've got a few different theme selections. So using the button along the bottom there, so you've got your drive mode selector. As you move between sport versus eco mode, you can change it up. But let's say if you love the economy that you get in the eco mode, but you love the look of the sport mode, you could lock it out. So as a default, it's linked to whatever drive mode that you're in. But if you like a different style, you've got the flexibility of being able to permanently lock it out. So if you love the economy that you get in the eco mode, but love the look of the sport mode, you can easily adjust it out this way. You can say whether or not you get an icy road warning. When you turn the car on, you get a welcome sound. And then your tachometer, you've got a few different display options that are available there too. I do love the look of that sport mode though. Oh, I like it. And then you've got your cruise control buttons along the left-hand side with some different options along the right. So the buttons along the right here, you've got a voice command prompt where you'll be able to do things like change stations. If you had navigation, you could navigate using your voice, things like that. If you were hooked up over Android or iPhone devices, you do a long push and hold. That is going to activate either your Siri or your Google Assistant. It's just that when no phone's connected, it's going to be for the factory assistant. You can answer or hang up on a phone call. And then you've got your volume rocker there, so you can adjust your volume, push into mute. Along the right-hand side there, you've also got the option of adjusting your volume this way. And then you've got a switch to go up and down. So if you've got presets set up, you can move between your presets. You could also push and hold up and push and hold down if you wanted it to act as a seek button. It's probably the last thing you want to do because it's really quick. You got to be quick on the draw. So your best bet is using your voice or just setting up your presets, going up and down. There are two unique buttons here which you can adjust through the infotainment system. If you go into your buttons there, you've got a few different custom buttons. So there's one down here, that's your top custom, and then you've got your two other buttons. So what do you want this one to do? You can have it go home, go to your map, different options there, and then your mode button along the very top, you can have that set up for different things. So jumping between all of your available sources. So if you tend to listen to sounds of nature, FM, etc., you just select whichever ones you'd like to. And then when you push the mode button, that's going to move you between all of the available sources that you've got selected there. And then along the left-hand side, so you've got adaptive cruise or smart cruise control inside of the majority of the vehicles in the Kia lineup. So it's strictly going to be adaptive. So let's say if you set it at 80, car in front of you slows down, yours is going to brake automatically. They change lanes, you change lanes, it's going to pick you back up to your previously set speed. So there's no traditional or old school cruise control available, strictly that adaptive. But you toggle it on this way. Once it's on, it sets it at whatever your current speed is. You could increase or decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time by going up and down, push and hold up or push and hold down to bring you to the nearest 0 kilometers an hour, or up and down 6 miles per hour at a time. You can hit the brake to cancel your speed. You can push in the middle there to cancel your speed, and then push again to resume your previously set speed. There's also a distance indicator, so it's how close or far are you away from the vehicle that's in front of you. There are a few unique levels. I am personally okay with level 1 in most situations. You might want to be on 2 or 3, just depending on your comfort level. And then there's also the lane follow assist. So there's a lane keep and a lane follow assist. Lane keep assist, if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, nudges you back into your lane. The lane follow assist, it's not self-driving, but as long as the vehicle recognizes the lane markings, it keeps you perfectly balanced in your lane. When you have the smart cruise control system toggled on with this one, it gets really dang close. Now, that doesn't mean that you can just take your hands off the wheel and not pay attention, so you do have to continue to pay attention. Once you actively use the system and really realize how it works or understand how it works, it's a phenomenal system. But if you want a live demonstration of actually using the system and understanding it, you'll find that down in the description of this video. And then there are also different buttons here in order to navigate through the cluster screen. You've got the auto hold settings, so whether or not that one's enabled, yay, nay, your parking brake, outside temperature, along with your current fuel economy, what drive mode you're in, so whether that's the eco versus the sport mode with slightly different looks there, and then your current odometer. Along the very top, you've got what gear you're currently in, so park, reverse, neutral, drive, etc. Whether or not you've got different safety settings enabled, etc. along the right-hand side, and then if you're in the fully electric drive mode, if that's available. This, I want you to think of almost like a traditional tachometer to a degree. So you put your foot down, and this is going to go up, almost like your traditional tachometer would do. And then from a charging perspective, so whether you're in the hybrid, the plug-in, etc., when you go to brake, this gauge will drop down. And what it's doing is trying to recapture that charge, because the plug-in can actually charge up technically 3 different ways. So as you drive, it can charge up. It can charge up through regenerative braking and then just plugging in on top of that. So it's kind of neat the way that that looks, but I mean, that's kind of neat. And then you've got your battery along the bottom, and then you've got a series of individual pages there, which are all done and move through using the buttons along the steering wheel there. So left pad, top right side. So you can move between the 4 available options. You need to be driving in order to show your tire pressure. You can see your engine temperature. You've got your basic drive mode screen, your range, your driving info, so how long have you been going for, what fuel economy have you gotten since refueling, your total accumulated info, and then you've got idle mode and then your vehicle speed. So where these ones come into play, your since refueling, so what fuel economy have you gotten since you fueled the vehicle up? What's your total accumulated info? And you can see that on the bottom there too. So right in the middle, you can see it denotes that we're at 14.2 liters per 100. So if you push and hold the button there, that acts as an OK button. So scroll down, push and hold OK. And then you can see there, it just zeroes it out again. Pushing one more time is going to give you a basic compass view. If you've got factory navigation inside of your ride with an active route going, it would show turn-by-turn directions there. But outside of that, it's strictly going to be a compass, and that's strictly factory navigation to show turn-by-turn directions. If you go to your basic setup there, and then general settings, that's going to bring you to this option, but we're looking for measurement units. So you could adjust out to either kilometers or miles if you'd like to. This is one of the benefits of it being a fully digital cluster, is that it adjusts absolutely everything out. So do you want to be in miles, kilometers, Celsius or Fahrenheit? If you're in miles, you've got MPG versus kilometers. You've got different options there. And then your tire pressure unit. Do you want to be in PSI, kPa, or bar? I know that's a lot of information, but that's all you need to know about the steering wheel and the cluster inside of the Kia Niro.